Okay, so today we'll be mostly talking about bus drivers' first use checks. First use checks, walk around checks, whatever you call them. Every bus driver has to do it. When you're first on the bus, that's what we have to do. So stick around and I'll show you what I do when I take over a bus. In a minute. You've signed in. You've got your duty card. You've grabbed your duty log card and your VCR card. VCR card. Depends where you are and what bus garage you're and who you talk to. Some call them bus condition reports and some call them vehicle condition reports. But the title on the top says first use inspection and vehicle defect report. There are 30 tick boxes, but there is more than 30. There's 40 odd things that you've got to look for on the bus. So cab warning devices is number one. If there's something wrong with the bus will tell you. There'll be an alarm, you're losing air, the bus will tell you. You check your washers, wipers and horn. Make sure your demisters are on, make sure they're working. Mirrors, make sure they're there, make sure they're clean. Parking brake and service brake. So park brake is your handbrake, service brake is your foot pedals. You don't test those until you're just about to leave for service. You're dangerous otherwise. Direction indicators, as said. Steering, test steering. As the pressure builds up in the vehicle, you've got power steering in the vehicle, and you'll feel a definite change in the how the wheel feels. Make sure your fire extinguishers there and working. License disc, your operator's license disc. Make sure that's in date. Stanchions, grab rails, passenger bells, emergency exits. We haven't got any up here. Emergency exits. Accessibility features, including ramp request bell. So, exactly as it says, there's a bell outside that says press me for the if by chance that you go to a bus stop and you don't see the wheelchair passenger, they'll press the button and it'll request the bell to come out, request the ramp to come out. All destination blinds, make sure, obviously London buses have 3, front, side and back, near side. Entrance and exit doors, step and platform lights. So you have step and platform lights. If your bus doesn't have all the bus and platform lights, the platform lights aren't working, you can't take that bus out. It's too dangerous. Same as the lights above the stairs. If there's no lights above the stairs, you can't take that bus out. Drivers and passenger seats. Obviously, you check every seat in the bus, including the one that you're going to be sitting in. It's not so much for make sure it adjusts. Every driver, I might be the same size and shape as the next driver, but he may drive a different driving position. So make sure that it goes up and down, it goes back and forwards, in and out. And obviously it's attached to the floor. Floor treads, steps and stairs, obviously. Make sure they're clean and tidy. Make sure they're not greasy. Make sure there's no slip hazards. Make sure there's no cuts in them so people can't trip. Windscreen and windows. Again, make sure there's no chips. Make sure the little boys haven't etched willies into the windows and stuff. Exterior lights, including reflectors and number plate lights. Okay, touch them. Make sure they're firm and fixed. Make sure there's no cracks. Make sure they're working. Road wheels, wheel nuts and tires. So as you walk around, You will check your wheels, your rims, your wheels, the outside of the wheels, make sure there's no holes, slashes, bumps, anything that's gonna, you know, the tire's gonna pop. You're gonna check the tread and the wheel nuts. So if your wheel nuts, if you've got a leak of, if you've got a trickle of rust running down from the wheel nut itself, it means that the wheel nut is loose, and that's called rust bleed. You know, it just trickles down. So you need to sort that out. Make sure they're filled up, tightened up. Wheel nut indicators. Lots of buses have them on every wheels. We have them on the rear wheels. And if they're distended, extended, or distorted in any way, it means the wheel nuts are loose, and that needs sorting immediately. Your filler caps, fuel cap, and blue cap. You check your oil caps, everything. You know, just make sure they're tight, because the last thing you want is to lose oil or diesel as you're running down the road. Makes it very dangerous for other road users. Oil, water, fuel leaks. Obviously check under the bus, because the last thing you need is a leak. If you pull away, have a look to see if there's anything there. Emergency exits. Emergency exits. I'm in an MMC today, Enviro 400 MMC. The emergency exits are the 2 passenger doors, plus the brake glass windows. In the old buses, the emergency exits, they would also have hammers attached, and it's a criminal offence to remove a hammer from a bus. Bonnet flaps and doors, make sure they're down tight and secure. The last thing you want is your side flap of smashing open and smashing all the car windows as it's driving down the road. Exhaust smoke, anything dark and black, anything white, blue in hue, means you've got an issue with your engine, and that needs to be dealing with. CCTV, Oyster and radio. So the radio talks to us all the time. We have iBus, and which is the big eye in the sky, and we have the NMCCC, which is the Network Management Control Center. That's right, NMCC. And they will tell you if there's a road closed and what your diversion will be if you're going to be curtailed. Your Oyster reader. Make sure that's when you've logged in, it goes from a red light to an amber light, and when the passenger taps it, it goes green. If the red light stays on, the Oyster card's faulty. And CCTV, there are 16 cameras, maybe more, on every bus in London, internal, external, over the stairs, in the back seats, front seats, up the stairs, as you get on, as you get off. You know, if you're going to do something naughty on a bus, someone's going to see you do it. It's as simple as that. Okay, so I'll leave that there, and I'll show you what I do when I walk around. All right, I'll speak to you in a minute. We get on our bus and we make sure our O-disc is in date. We make sure we have no trip hazards, and we make sure our fire extinguisher is in place. We've made sure our handbrake's applied, and we've started our engine. We'll make sure our lights are on, our hazards are on, and we'll make sure the air tanks are filling up nicely. No alarms or bells, nothing serious to worry about. We'll check our horn, check our windscreen wipers, squeak, and we'll make sure they've got water, and they do. Never know. belting down with rain. Okay, so we will test our alarm, and that works. We will test our demisters, and you can hear them kicking in. Everything's good. Okay. That's it for here. We'll check our seat the same way as we check the rear, the passenger seats, make sure it's firm, fix the floor, but we also make sure it adjusts. Then it goes up, tilting down to the positions that you want to go to. The steering, when the power steering builds up, you'll feel a definite change in the feel of the wheel, and everything's cool. Our ramp works. You see it in the window. Just be able to see that coming out on the mirror. Make sure that retracts. We also make sure our internal mirrors are adjusted correctly, so we can see the small one is actually the rear view mirror, so, and the other one is to make sure you can see the doors and the mirrors inside. When you check your windows, make sure all your windows have got no chips, I've got no etchings. Make sure anything that's got an emergency push bar on it has got a tag attached. Can't take the bus out without a tag on. Again, similar, all windows need to be in a serviceable condition. Broken windows aren't acceptable. Etched windows aren't acceptable. You can't take the bus into service. Check your brake glass hammers are in place, and the older buses. Right. I tend to go up one side of the bus, along the back, down the other side of the bus, and up the stairs, and do exactly the same in the other direction. Check all steps, make sure the tread is fine, there's nothing lifting, so you can cause a trip hazard, and we'll do that on the stairs on the way up. Checking for cleanliness all the way up. So, seats. You've got to make sure that the seats are firmly affixed to the floor, that they're clean, they're tidy, there's no sharp edges. If the seats are in two parts, they're not a bench seat, you've got to make sure that each seat individually doesn't come apart, especially if you brake sharply, that someone's going to fly off. The outside of the bus, first thing we do, we check our mirrors. We check the outside of the bus, make sure there's no damage. We check our tyres. We check for tread, make sure there's at least 1 millimeter of tread across 3/4 of the tyre. We check our wheel nuts, make sure they're there. Cursory checks, checking the bus up and down. Up and down. I'm trying to go from top to bottom. The same tyres, that's wearing, that's gonna go. Make sure that the wheel nut indicators aren't stretched or distorted. That means the wheel nuts are moving. Make sure you've got your lenses on the side are working. you touch and make sure that all of your lenses are intact and are indeed working. Make sure there's no dirty white, black, blue smoke coming out of the exhaust pipe. So, as we walk around the bus, not only are we looking for things, we're actually listening for air leaks. So the whole bus is one big air pipe. The tyres, the wheels, the doors, everything is run on air. So we make sure we check everything on the bus all the way around, listening for air leaks. And that is us done. Quick look at the front. All good. Okay. We start at the front of the bus. Make sure our markers are working. There's no damage to the windows. There's no damage to the windscreen. Check the outside of your windscreen wipers. If you like my videos, please subscribe.